So we have to kind of look at things in two folds. One is what you would wear and feel confident in and put your foot forward and say, look, I've arrived. I have my signature look. This is who I am. This best represents me. Taking what's in the inside and polishing it for the outside.
Hi there, and welcome to the show. I'm Michaela, and I'm so glad you're tuning in. I've long believed that if you look good, you feel good. Some people are lucky enough to be blessed with an innate sense of style. The rest of us, maybe not so much. How do you figure out your style? And then how do you build a good wardrobe for whatever stage of life you're in? And yes, feel great when you walk in a room. There is one person that I call, and that is professional stylist Pilar Steinborn, and she joins me now. Hey girl, how are you?
Hi, I'm Michaela. Hello.
I was so excited to talk to you about this because I think this is something that people often feel a little uncomfortable about, especially in this day and age of social media influencers and fashion blogs. There are so many standards that I think people feel they have to live up to, but it's really actually a personal choice, isn't it?
Absolutely. We need to stop looking at others and look at ourselves and what we're comfortable with.
I love that. And by the way, I have to tell people, Pilar's joining me from Connecticut, and I make a point of saying that because you and I, thanks to technology, have worked both in person as my personal stylist and then also remotely, particularly during the pandemic.
During the pandemic, we just learned to communicate differently. So this has worked out really well. Post-pandemic, we're thriving with having virtual FaceTime fittings with everyone. I'm working with people within their closets without having to travel. So it's become literally broadened my, platform when I'm reaching out to others in any state.
Yeah, it's kind of great. You don't have to necessarily be right there in person. Although I imagine there is something kind of yummy. I know personally, there is something yummy when you get to do the shop together, right? Like you and I used to have these epic shopping trips when I was working at CNN. By the way, no shame in our game. We would shop in the morning after the show, break for lunch, which might have included champagne, and then continue the afternoon.
Those were some good times in person. Yeah, and those we still will have. Just until then, we kind of sit here just sipping through the monitor with one another, perhaps.
Exactly. All right. So you and I planned this out. We're going to talk about sort of a 3-step process because we want this to be easily digestible for people at home.
Yep.
Look, and it can be for people who already know who they are and already have a great sense of style. There might be some tweaks here, but also for somebody who is like, look, I just don't like what I see when I look in the mirror and I want to update things. 3-step process, Pilar, right? Find your style, how to best shop on a budget, because who doesn't need to do that, and how to build your wardrobe. First of all, you say it's really important to sort of have a 3-step process.
I do. It helps you edit what you're going after and to make the experience more enjoyable. Otherwise, we all can feel overwhelmed. We don't really know where to begin. And when we do get the process going, we kind of fizzle out after we've just entered the store or entered your own closet. So I think and also shopping from a budget, it's really different for everyone. Not everybody really wants to take an investment into clothing. It may not be their priority, whether they have the money or not. So I think it's like really figuring out how important it is for you. What are your needs versus wants?
If you don't have a plan, you're spending way too much money and then you end up with a bunch of tops and no pants to wear. Like that the real talk, if you don't plan it out, you could be leaning heavily in one direction and not have anything to wear when you go out with your friends, for example.
Absolutely. And then there's also what we call opportunity shopping, which we love to have.
Love that.
Whether you're with a friend, a family member, and you're out and about, you're on a holiday or vacation. However, though, if you do just take a little bit of investment in yourself to kind of meditate and think, what is it that I really need? Is it for just day to day? You lack your interest in what you have already? Is it an event coming up and I need to acquire something? Is there a dress code? Let's start with those types of questions first.
Okay. All right. Well, let's dig in to the steps. Finding your style. It seems obvious, but speaking from personal experience, it's actually kind of a challenge.
So if you just first identify with your body parts, your hair to your skin, to your chest, to your legs, down to your feet, what is your best asset that you have? Ask yourself that number one question. That is what we want to highlight.
Okay, let's use me as an example. I'm going to go with my hair because I think my hair is kind of my signature, and it's, the thing that I don't know, I'm intensely proud of my hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things that we would want to do is then keep the rest of the silhouette more simplified. What we want to do is not go for any loud prints, anything that's too distracting, whether it's a tight print, whether it's too geometric, where it takes away from the top half of where we want to focus. So I would suggest then stick to your favorite colors. You could do a color blocking. You could do a solid color of your choice just to make it really bright, but it won't take away from the design and what you're going to do up top.
If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice that I chose a beautiful magenta color today, partly because I stressed out that my stylist was going to be on the podcast and on the show with me today, and she would see, because we're recording this for YouTube, what I'm wearing. So this color is a solid. I have big curly hair, for those that can't see, big, beautiful curly locks. And I feel like what it does is it's a nice enhancement for my hair.
Absolutely, because that is a vibrant color, but it doesn't distract with any details. So I'm not worried about seeing any eyelets open, any open hardware that might be grommeted into the shoulders, etc. So you want to just simplify and focus up here.
So I know one of the other things that you think is important to do, even perhaps before you start your shop, when you're trying to determine your style, is think about whose style you admire.
Who do you want to aspire to be, and who are you inspired by? So this person doesn't necessarily need to be a direct replica of your body type. I mean, two different bodies, but however, you like their vibe. So really try to stay true to, are you bohemian? Are you glamorous? Are you showy? Are you quiet, understated? And sometimes we all have that favorite actor, actress, and those out in the universe that we can look upon that are in the public eye that actually show us. It could be an influencer. So take notes from all of that. And then if they have something that you are reacting to, you can say, okay, great, I would do that, but I need to know that I'm not going to show my arms. What are some of the other things that I'm not comfortable with? And you can tweak them.
Okay, so the next thing I want to ask about, though, is, Pilar, sometimes I don't know if something suits me or not. How can you sort of empirically tell you might like something on someone else, but it doesn't look great on you?
Well, one of my things I always say to my clients is, they're like, look what I got. I picked it up. I just love it, but I'm not sure how it looks on. And I say, well, you chose it because you're inspired by it. It might be something that you would decorate with. Is it like a fabric or a pattern that you want to put on an ottoman? You wouldn't necessarily wear it. So we have to kind of look at things in two folds. One is what you would wear and feel confident in and put your foot forward and say, look, I've arrived. I have my signature look. This is who I am. This best represents me. Taking what's in the inside and polishing it for the outside.
Gotcha.
And with that goes into the next thing I wanted to bring up with you is the tailoring and how important that is to match the two.
Oh, but here's the thing. Like people are going to say tailoring can be really expensive, and yes, it can be, but there are ways you can do it in a more economical way, right?
Absolutely. So some of the price points that you look at, whatever's palatable for your pocket, you want to say, okay, is it going to be a $10 investment to alter it? Is it a $20? Is it $30? Look at that towards the value of the product. So if you're looking at a $30 blouse, but you want to take the sleeves up, that should be just probably a $10 to $15 hem, still under a $50 blouse. So try to look at it in that scope.
And the idea of even just, we've done this a lot, is sometimes a longer sleeve doesn't look great on me. We actually settled on a 3/4 length for me. That way I can wear like a bangle or some jewelry on my wrist, which is really nice. And I found that a great hack is often the dry cleaner can do very simple things like hems sleeves, that kind of thing. Or maybe you've got an auntie or a cousin, or heck, maybe you go onto YouTube and teach yourself how to do some of that sewing. I've learned how to do some hems and basic things myself, and that can make it more affordable. All right, so let's stay on the dollars because they are thinner. Our wallets are taxed, and our bank accounts are meager right now. It's hard to get by. Everything seems to cost more. So let's talk about shopping on a budget. It is possible to do. Please tell us, because we love when we get to find nice things. So walk us through some of your tips on how to be budget conscious and how to find some deals.
So taking what you're inspired by. So if you see it on a brand that you really love and you're inspired, most likely that is going to be in all levels of the market. I would always go into a Google search. From there, you're going to see it in whether one of these third-party shoppers, whether it's a List or a Polyvore or someone's reselling it, they bought it and the tags are still on, the eBay, etc. There's so many platforms. As well, though, make sure you put your apps in for your deep discounts, which will cover.
Like what? You have a favorite? You have a couple of favorites?
I do. I do not shop without the Honey app, Honey, the Honey app, Retail Me Not. Great platforms that I find super useful. They will comb the entire internet. But also, too, my latest find, and it's a little late in the game, but if I find that piece that I love at a brand that's out of my price point, I'll take a picture it with my Google search, and that exact image will populate, and all of what's available out there is at different price points.
And you can find a different brand for less. And look, I know there's lots of conversations out there about the downfalls of fast fashion, and you and I have had many conversations about that. And I think that's the topic of a future podcast, because I really do. Look, I also worry about the amount of clothing that's going into the landfill, but it's on each shopper individually to sort of make that decision for themselves about, you know, whether you shop at a fashion outlet or invest in something, if you have the money to invest in something a little bit more costly. Like, I like the way you say it, palatable for your budget. That's what your own tolerance level will determine.
You can shop fast fashion. You just want to know that, is it for you? Is it sustainable? Is it something you're going to have for longevity? I have some really inexpensive favorited pieces. And then obviously my higher end stuff that I've tired of or I've outgrown, I have resold it. So there is the sustainability of that. And then two, I just learned about recently, Trashy. You can purchase a bag, and for that bag, you can donate all of your clothing. It goes into the right places within a file where they can track where your pieces go. So we're not just sending to another country. There are sustainable ways nowadays that we can follow.
You can find, in fact, when I was out east visiting you in Connecticut recently, you pointed me to a really great consignment shop near you. Consignment shops and these retailers online are a great source. If you have an eye and you know what you're looking for and you know how to determine if something is gently used, they can be a good source of a fix for a shopper.
Absolutely. So I just go back to the number one question. When you ask yourself, what are your best assets? Think of yourself like a structural building, and where are your windows? So your windows would be your face. It's the first thing that's projected when you interact with someone or a camera or anyone, in person or virtual. And then obviously the windows for you would be your wristlets. I always say for you, Michaela, your face is so stunning. And obviously we listen to what you have to say. Everything that comes out, I don't want it to be distracted by other places on you. So when I dress you, I really have to be cautious and keep my eyes open to where are the windows on you. So that's where we want to show some skin. Simple alterations. If you love the blouse, but it's too much fabric, that can be a quick boom. I also like taking things that are buttoned here and putting an elastic band in them, and you can turn them upside down, and immediately, without spending any money, you've already changed the shirt, you've already got your window, and so forth. So it goes the same for the bottom.
I want to know quickly before we move on to the building a wardrobe, because this actually speaks to it. Are you for subscription services, yay or nay?
I have not met one that's been successful for any of my clients. They've all dabbled in them, and they have not purchased anything that curates an entire wardrobe?
Look, I will say, just only because I think we had different experiences. I used Vince Unfold for a while and I really liked it. Now, I sent stuff back. I'd wear them, try them, and they would fine tune it. I did end up buying some pieces at a deep discount. Once you're a member, you can get some things at a deep discount. But again, not everything works. You're right. Not everything works. And it is a lot of hit and miss. But, everybody's going to have a different experience. Okay. So that goes to building the wardrobe, right? So you've identified your style, you've started to shop on a budget, and that leads you into building your wardrobe because you see it as a set. Like you and I, what we did when I was working at CNN, HLN, and at Good Day LA, you helped me. We kind of took the Garanimal approach because we had a small budget.
Correct.
And you helped me sort of stretch that out as much as we could, buying a lot of separates so that we could mix and match and stretch that budget out. For somebody at home, what approach should they take in terms of building a wardrobe?
The difference with dressing yourself and having that closet with so many mixes and matches is because you are on TV 5 days a week.
For sure.
With events
For sure.
and so forth. So a lot of wardrobe is needed. 12 to 15 pieces for your infrastructure is great. An extra 5, no more than 20 pieces total collectively would be ideal. And then this way you have things to pull from that are event pieces, like tops that make a statement. And then the rest should just be all of your bottoms, from your denim to your trousers to a dress to a skirt to a casual piece for lounging, athleisure wear. And that should make up a full 20 pieces. That's where I feel if you have those, keep moving, and you don't put the blinders on, and you don't need to pick up anything you don't need.
What you can't see if you're listening is my mouth is agape because 20 pieces, girl, I have too many clothes. I've been told that before, but I have too many clothes.
Yeah. Also too, though, for your type of lifestyle, understandable. So
true. But so you can make that work by picking smart pieces and knowing how to wear them and knowing that every piece you work for that you have purchased rather will work for you.
If you take 7 events that are just standard in all of our life, basically that already just gives you 10 pieces if you break it down, and then you can play with the others and mix and match. So it really does only come out to no more than 20 to be that frugal with your wardrobe.
I think it's really important to talk about size here. And I'm comfortable talking about it because this is the body I move around the world in. I am a curvaceous woman. And you and I have had many a conversation about my desire to obliterate the word plus. And I feel as though the world is moving a little bit more towards this idea of inclusive sizing. I know you're for that as well.
Absolutely. I just feel like everybody is where they should be. It's what you're blessed with. How do we, work with that, what we have, and be happy? So again, it goes back to addressing your favorited most attributes that you have. What are you comfortable with? Right. As well, I think there are a lot more options out there, but everybody is blessed, and there's something to be accentuated on us, right?
I think it was the actress Emma Thompson who has been quoted as talking about the importance of loving the skin you're in. We have been socialized as women to, hate on our bodies and hate on our shape. And, so many, especially women of color, being, forced to believe that this European standard of a body type is the only acceptable one. I think there's so many people railing against that, me included. So I love when you are the type of person, this is why we've worked together for almost a dozen years, is that you have helped me dress the body I have instead of keeping those clothes in the back of my closet. These are my skinny jeans, or this is when I'm feeling this, or whatever, is having grace for yourself in the body you have today.
Absolutely. And there's something for everyone. It's just a matter of how to identify that, and then how to acquire it, and then how to keep confident in getting dressed when you walk out the door.
Yeah.
It really does come down to 3 steps, 20 pieces, and just taking us
20 pieces, man. That's aspirational, y'all. Don't feel bad if you can't hit the 20, because I'm certainly not hitting the 20. Okay. I want to turn the lens on you a little bit. Thank you for giving us all those steps. I want to just I don't know, I got to give you your flowers because this woman, y'all, she's at the top of her game. She has worked with ABC, CNN, NBC, Sports, History Channel, MTV, FX. She dressed athletes and commentators and presenters for the 2018 and the 2020 Olympics. Like the fact that I even get to be in conversation with her and that she works with me, like, oh, you're blushing. It's so cute. But you've been in the game for over 20 years, Pilar. What do you think the secret to your longevity and your ability just to stay in the game and operate on such a high level is?
I'm passionate. I never get tired of getting out of bed to start my day. I am honestly, to this day, 20 years plus and counting. I lost count actually. I really do enjoy what I do. I'm super passionate about it. I still act like it's the first year of my career, but yet it's not. It's my journey, and it's just I can't wait to see what comes up this year alone. I'm working on some really great stuff that's new to my masthead, if you will. That's what I love so much. I've grown from editorial to television, media, personalities, sports, large events like the Olympics. And now I'm working with advertising agencies on, promotional
Very
stuff,
cool.
films. I'm getting to work with real people, real bodies. So collectively, I see it as a journey. And I now know that working with people like you, just give me who you are and I will finish and polish off the rest for you. I craft
love that.
images, and that's what I've grown to be. Crafting an
I got to tell you, the idea of having a stylist was something I was really reticent to have because I always felt like somebody was going to try and force me like a shoehorn into a look that I wasn't comfortable with. Because there's nothing worse than wearing clothes that just don't suit you. You just feel like a fraud. And for me, it's really all about showing up authentically. And you've helped me do that in more polished way. So it seems to the outward eye that being a stylist is like this super glamorous gig. Give people the reality.
Oh, you're hauling a lot of bags. Your fingers are crippled. You are in all sorts of weather. Just think of yourself like the postal service. It doesn't stop. There's always someone or something that has an emergency or needs to be done on a timeline. So, you kind of just have to forego the windows, close them, and just be like, okay, what do I need to get done?
That's just the hustle. It's just the hustle. Okay, so the question is, do you still enjoy getting yourself dressed in the morning, or is it a bit like working in a chocolate factory? It's taken the joy out of it for you.
Oh, I still enjoy it, and I do get through my whims, if you will. So I'm not as focused on myself as much as I am on my clients. So I'm not always in front of the camera. I'm behind the camera. So I don't take as much passion in putting and curating the outfit to a T per day. However, when I do go and present when I am on a shoot, if I'm traveling, I make sure that I am well put together and I'm wearing all my favorite pieces. And I do pause at least once a season to be like, what's my intake? I'm really low on pants. I need things for transition. And then I go ahead and I order, and then I try, return, and then I'm set. And then I don't touch or shop or do anything for 3-4 months.
Goals, people. Okay, so people are going to want to know how to follow you and find you. You're an Instagram lady. Hit them with your ats.
Yes, at Pilar NYC Stylist, as well as my website, which is best. And I'll start blogging soon, and then you'll have a lot of up-to-date information and things that I'm going to continue to give everybody information on. So it's pilarsteinborn.com.
I love it. P, thank you so much for doing this with me. My favorite thing is to share the people that I know with other people, because we don't all have access to someone like you. And this is a nice way to share that. I don't gatekeep, man. I like to share the information, share the love. So here it is. Boom. Do what you got to do. Give her a follow. Show up on her website. Follow that blog when she gets it going. Thank you so much, Pilar. And by the way, thank you for seeing me and making me feel fantastic. You have done so much to help me, and I am just super grateful. Love you, friend.
Ways. You drive me to do what I do, so I love being a part of your
Mwah. Mwah. Back at you. And for those of you that are tuning in, thanks so much for following along with the show, and stay tuned for more.